Hello Year 3. Today we're going to learn how we can make equal groups to support our development of our multiplication and division skills. Now within this we're going to think about some skills where we can write things down on paper. So if you've got some paper and a pen, that would be great. And when I ask you to complete some elements of a worksheet, you don't need to actually do them on the sheet. You can just do them on some paper and then take a photo of the paper and get mummy or daddy to scan it across to the school so we can have a look at how you're getting on. Okay, now within these three sentences at the moment, you can see there's different groups of apples, flowers and sweets. So with this first sentence, if I were completing that, I'd say there are 3 groups of 3 apples. I'd like you to take a minute and try and fill the sentences in for the flowers and for the sweets now, please. If you pause the video whilst you do that, if you're not sure. And now we're back playing. You can see that there are 4 groups of 2 flowers and there are 3 groups of 5 sweets. Tasty stuff. Okie dokie. Now we're going to learn some of how we can use that knowledge from before to help us understand our division and multiplication. Now, between the 10 and the 2 here, there's the division symbol. This is called an obolus. Okay, it shows that we're sharing our group of 10, our 10 into 2 groups. So it's 10 shared into 2 groups. Now I've got my 10 there as presented as an array where it's 2 high and 5 along. That helps me understand what I'm doing. So I can now share that 10 into 2 groups, and in each group, if I put them together, I'll see I end up with 5. Okay, so 10 shared between 2 groups is 5 in each group. It's grouping. I've grouped together my 10 into 2 groups of 5 in each group. Okay, I've shared it. Okay, I can also see here that if I put a circle, a shape around each of my groups of 2, I can end up with not 3, not 4, but 5 groups. Okay, so I know that when I divide by 2, my value of 10, I end up with 5 groups. Okay, so I group. Here I've got 6. My obelisk is showing me that I'm dividing my 6 by 3, so splitting 6 into 3 groups. Okay, so it's dividing 6 into 3 groups. So have a think. I wonder how I could present it. Think about my array. Think about my plate, so I could do my grouping. And you might have a go at doing that yourselves now. So pause the video. Try and divide 6 by 3. As we come back to that now, hopefully what you can do is year 3. Sorry, I'm forgetting which class I'm teaching, guys. Is you've got your 6 and you're going to divide that into 3. So you've got your array where you've got 3 along and 2 up. Okay, and I'm going to share that into my plates. And this time I've got 3 plates, and on each of my plates I put 2 of my circles. That shows me that 6 divided by 3 is 2. I can also group together my 6 by putting it into groups of 3 and another group of 3, and therefore I end up seeing that when I've grouped together 3s, I end up with 2 groups. So 6 divided by 3 is 2. Okay, so there's different ways of visually representing that. So 6 divided by 3, I've shared it and I've grouped it. Okay, so when I share it, I put it into equal parts at the same value, and when I group it, what I do is I group together the value which I'm dividing the whole by. So when I've got 6 and I'm dividing it by 3, I group it into groups of 3. Okay, and I see how many groups I end up with. Okay, so it's different ways of representing it with pictures, but I end up with the same number sentence. So 6 divided by 3 is 2. 6 divided by 3 equals 2. Okay, so I end up, I'm sharing. So if I look at my first value here, when I've got where I'm doing 6 divided by 3, I can see that I'm sharing between 3 groups. Okay, and here I'm sharing by that 3. Okay, okay. And that's my answer, is how many is in each group and how many groups I can make. Okay, so here I've got a picture. I've got lots of lovely, now I'm thinking they're bean bags. Yeah, so I've got to work out here how with my bean bags I can make them into groups of 10. So how many groups of 10 can I make? Okay, so again here I've got to calculate, I've got to add basically how many I've got. And once I've added how many I've got to work out how many I can have for each one. how many for each of these groups. Okay, so if I can add how many there are, okay, and then I've got to work out how many groups of 5 there are, okay, and how many groups of 4, and how many groups of 2. So we've got lots of different questions and how many groups of 1. So first of all, I'm going to add my beanbags up. So if you all do that, pause your video. And now, like me, you've got 27. Hopefully not. Hopefully you're better at adding than me. My first go said 27, but actually it was obviously 20. So we've got 20. So we're going to divide it by 10, divide it by 5, divide it by 4, divide it by 2, and divide it by 1. Okay, so I'm going to have a think about those number sentences. If you can have a go at those where you're dividing 20 by 10, by 5, by 4, by 2, and by 1, that would be great. And you can do it in different ways. So pause it while you work through those. And now we'll work through them together. So here we've got our 20, so 10 and 10. So we've got 2 groups of 10, so 20 divided by 10 is 2. Okay, here we've got our 5s. So we've got 20 split into 4 groups of 5, so 20 divided by 5 is 4. Here we split our 20 into groups of 4, and we see there's 5 of those, into 10 groups of 2, so 20 divided by 2 is 10, and into 1 group of 20. So when we divide by 1, our answer is always the value that we started with. We're dividing 20 divided by 1 is going to be 20. Now on your worksheet, if you try and work through questions 1, 2, and 3, and whilst you do that, if you pause the video, and now what we'll do is we'll carry on. A couple of more examples for us to work through. 8 divided by 2. Okay, so we can represent it in different ways. Okay, so what we can think of is going how many steps along we'd need to go if each one is worth 2. Okay, so 2, then another 2, then another 2, and our little friend here, another 2. I'm going to call her Sadie because that's somebody special to me who's got hair that looks the same color as that. So it's 8 along in groups of 2, and that is 4 jumps of 2 are equal to 8. Okay, so it's a different way of showing it, but it helps us understand it. So those jumps are like a number line where we've jumped along it in groups of 2. Okay. So 8 divided by 2 is 4. Okay, so we've worked through that. Now here we're going to jump along in bigger groups. It's obviously got better at jumping. She's going to jump along in jumps of 5. Okay, so the first one she does 5. Okay, think about where she'll go after 5. She does. Here we go. So here she's going jumping. So first one she does 5. Second jump, she does another 5, and third jump, she does another 5. So how many jumps has she done? 3. So 15 divided by 5 is 3. Okay, 3 jumps of 5 equal to 15. If you try and work this one out, okay, so 60 divided by 10, how many jumps will we need if each jump is worth 10 to get to 60? Let's try and work that out. Pause it if you need a minute. Let's see. Okie dokie, we got 10, 20, 30, 40, 50, and finally 60. So we end up with how many jumps? I'm sure you're all shouting 6 jumps. Well done. Okay, so we've done 6 jumps. Now, forgetting about jumping now, but still having the line. So it's basically still jumping, but without the person making muddy footprints everywhere. Now, we're going to go all the way to 18. And we're going to split it into jumps. Now, there's different ways we could do that. Different divisors we could divide our value by. Okay, so we've got 18, and we can see that all these are different jumps. So if we've got 18 jumps of 1, 9 jumps of 2, 6 jumps of 3, 3 jumps of 6, 2 jumps of 9, and 1 jump of 18. Okay, now this is my friend, and he's got 30 crayons, and he's divided them by 1. So we know that that answer is going to be, I'm sure you all shouted out 30. Well done. Now, can you work out these other number sentences? I'll pause that one. After that, 30 divided by 2 is 15. Can you do this one? Pause it until you do it. Then try this one. Then try this one, and this one, and this one, and this one. So have a go at those now. There's one that's particularly tricky. See if you can spot why. I lied. There were 2 that were really tricky, because 30 divided by 7 and 30 divided by 4 can't be done without more complicated maths than we'll work through at the moment. We'll get there in year 4 and year 5, but at the moment they're a bit too tricky for us. So what we can see is that We can divide 30 by 6, by 5, by 3, by 2, by 1. But the other values are not factors of 30, so we can't quite do it at the moment. Okay. Have a go at the rest of the worksheet. Well done for listening today. And send us a copy of any work that you've done so we can see how wonderful you've done. Well done, Year 3. Thank you. Bye-bye.